Good morning, the students of class 8. Welcome back to our social science history class. And today I am going to revise the chapter 1 from your history book, book 1. And the name of the chapter is From Trade to Territory. It is chapter 2. So first we'll back again from the beginning, that from last chapter of class 7 you have read about the demise of Aurangzeb opened the door of new opportunity for the local Indian kings and regional administrators, and all those regional administrators, the rulers and kings, now declaring their freedom one by one, just like the Asaf Jha from the established independent Hyderabad state in South India. In North India, in Awadh, Sadat Khan established independent Awadh, and Murshid Quli Khan established independent Bengal in the eastern part of India. And in this situation, some European companies, some foreigners came to India for trade. They slowly spread their commercial activity all over the Indian coastlines and Indian Ocean region, and slowly they started interfering the Indian politics, and finally they captured the political power in India. Today we will discuss how those British companies entered in India, and slowly they started conquering one by the states one by one. So what is the origin of those companies? First we will discuss the company East India Company, English East India Company or British East India Company, that ruled India almost 190 years. So let's start our story of those foreign companies, especially British East India Company. That in 1600 East India Company was set up in England, and that next year the Queen Elizabeth I granted monopoly of trade with nations of the East, and on that same year they got the monopoly of trade from the Queen Elizabeth I of England to trade and monopoly of trade. Monopoly means to business without any competitors, and the greatest and biggest monopoly business is Indian Railway. It is because the only railway in India. So in this way they also got the monopoly business and with nations of the East. Now what happened? In 1608 they came to Surat for trade and commercial activity. Before that they already arrived, but they officially start their business activities in 1608 AD, and they also sent their representative to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir and received the right to trade. So you already know that 1498 Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor, he discovered the sea route to India, and through the pathway of Vasco da Gama many European sailors and European trading companies, they started entering Indian Ocean region for trade. So before the arrival of British East India Company, the Indian Ocean region was totally dominated by the Portuguese sailors, and sometimes they also involved in various other activities like collecting illegal taxes and piracy. And when Indian Ocean region was so much, the condition of the Indian Ocean region was so much turmoil at the time, the Indian sailors was so much embarrassed and they are very much angry on the activity of the Portuguese sailors, Portuguese, because those Portuguese sailors actually they involved in piracy. They collected a huge amount of taxes from the Indian as well as the other ships, those passing through the region, and it's called Carthage. And those were refused, they sank their ships and looted all the commodities, looted or plundered all the commodities. So this is a great problem. Then what happened? And and the Mughal emperor, they don't have any naval fleet, so that's why they cannot suppress those Portuguese pirates. So at the time when a British captain visited to the court of Jahangir, they proposed that if we suppress those Portuguese sailors and pirates and clear the Indian Ocean region for the open trade and make secure this Indian Ocean region for the Indians and other foreign sailors, then what will be our reward? Then Jahangir accept their proposal that if you neutralize those Portuguese from the Indian Ocean region, we will give you the power to give you right to establish factory in India. And as a result, with the huge naval fleet, the British East India Company, at the time the Britishers had the best naval fleet, and with the help of this naval fleet, they easily defeated those Portuguese sailors and pirates, and finally they got the right to establish their first factory in Surat in 1611. Some people said it is also 1612. There is a confusion among the historians. So more or less it is 1611 or 12. And in another one in 1612 they also established another factory in the eastern coast of India. It is Masulipatanam. You have already read in class 7, chapter number 6. And finally, previously East India Company, mainly the mercantile company. So what is the meaning of mercantile company? That mercantile company means those company purchase goods from one area at a cheap rate and sell it to the another country and another part of the world at a higher price and make huge profit. That is called mercantile company. So at that time there are a lot of other companies in the ocean trade, involved in the ocean trade all over the world, and most of them are Europeans. And the Royal Charter gives the monopoly to trade in eastern nations to British East India Company, but it cannot retain other companies like Dutch East India Company, the French East India Company, the Danish East India Company to trade in the eastern nations. So what happened? So there is a great competition among those companies for the in the Indian Ocean region as well as the eastern countries, because the goods found in India at the time, mainly the spices and clothes, the fine cotton and silk textiles are in great demand in Europe at that time, as well as the black pepper, the cardamom, the cinnamon, these things, these spices and clove also had a good demand in European markets. Previously the Arabian sailors, they purchased those things and sold this to the European, and they sold that in the European markets. But now European companies came to the scene. All the companies, they tried to purchase all those wonderful commodities, these commodities, and wanted to make profit. So most of the time they fighting with each other, like I have already mentioned about the Portuguese and the British East India Company fighting with each other in Indian Ocean region, and most of them they blockaded their ships, they sank their ships, sometimes they plundered their commodities. In this way there is a conflict. Finally, when Catherine of Braganza, the Spanish and the Portuguese princess, married with British king, so then they got the Bombay in 1661. So British East India Company got Bombay. With this marriage, so it was given as a dowry to the British. So obviously, automatically it was captured by the British East India Company in India, in western coast. and at that time Goa was the base of Portuguese. Goa, Salsette, Basin, Daman, Diu, etc. Those places are the Goa's colony and Goa's factory, and now British got after Surat they got the Bombay. Okay, so what happened next? How did they expand their trade and commercial activities in Bengal? We'll read in our next class. So till then, don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. See you in the next class. Thank you for watching.